Was there a desire to impeach President Donald J. Trump from day one? Gee, I don't know.
People love you and you win. Woo! And when your son looks at you and says, Mama, look, you won, bullies don't win. And I said, baby, they don't, because we're gonna go in there and we're gonna impeach the mother.
History will remember those who were willing to speak truth to power. Yes, I called for Trump's impeachment early. How many of you in your organizations have said impeach 45? I'm cleaning out the White House. When is the black community gonna say, yeah, impeach him? That I am not gonna put up with it. I'm gonna say impeach 45 every day. Impeach 45 every day. Impeach 45 every day. Impeach 45! Impeach 45! Impeach 45!
I'm concerned that if we don't impeach this president, he will get reelected. If we don't impeach him, he will say he has been vindicated. He will say the Democrats had an overwhelming majority in the House and they didn't take up impeachment. He will say that we had a constitutional duty to do it if it was there and we didn't. He will say that he has been vindicated.
Do you think that Trump should be impeached? You guys are going to be in a situation where you would have to possibly take a vote on the impeachment of Donald Trump. Would you vote yes or no?
I would vote yes.
I would vote to impeach. The first that we have is a violation of the Emoluments Clause.
How destructive this president is.
Women may have been provided financial settlements in an illegal manner.
I recognize him as a tyrant.
He has refused to divest himself of businesses through which there are foreign actors investing and currently conducting businesses.
I recognize him as someone who has developed tendencies of dictatorship.
There are many different ways that that people can reach that conclusion.
What again is the impeachment standard?
Impeachment is about whatever the Congress says it is. There is no law.
Now, all of this was before the whistleblower. Now, after the whistleblower, what did Democrats say? Impeaching Trump was a matter of national security. It is a matter of national urgency.
Urgency of the issue. I mean, of course, this is not to dismiss the lawful inquiries into the president cashing in on access to the Oval Office, obstructing justice in the Mueller probe, working with the Russians to win his election. That is still ongoing, but here in real time, he is asking a foreign government for help. And when you ask someone for help, you owe them something. And that means at some point in time, he would put another country's interests ahead of America's. That's betrayal. That means we have to act.
And given that the president has made clear he's not going to stop seeking foreign intervention in our election, he's out on the White House lawn saying that if we're being honest, there's a simple answer. I want Ukraine to do this investigation.
Right.
His lawyer, even this week, was in Ukraine seeking to dig up the same kind of dirt. So the timing is really driven by the urgency, and that is
a national security issue.
Yes.
But remember, some of these things are very clear at this point. There is overwhelming evidence, uncontested by the Republicans, that the president put himself above the country, that the president sought foreign assistance in elections, sought to cover it up, completely defied participation in the congressional investigation in order to hide his role, that he sought foreign assistance for the next election.
Now remember, this is a somber occasion, right?
We take this to be a very sad time for the American people, for our country. Impeaching a president or having the investigation to impeach a president is not anything to be joyful about.
Absolutely, positively nothing joyful about this, right?
Hey everyone, I am on my way to the United States House floor to impeach President Trump. On behalf of my incredible district, 13 districts strong. Let's do that.
But something happened to their sense of urgency. Nancy Pelosi held up the 2 articles of impeachment, didn't turn them over to the Senate. And we waited. and waited, and waited.
You run the risk, as some Republicans have said, of looking like you're playing games with impeachment if you hold on to these articles for too long.
I said what I was going to say, Nancy. When we bring the bill, which is, just so you know, there's a bill made in order by the Rules Committee that we can call up at any time in order to send it over to the Senate and to have the provisions in there to pay for the impeachment. And then the next step, whatever you want to call it, the trial. That is where you put the managers. I was not prepared to put the managers in that bill yet because we don't know the arena that we are in. Frankly, I don't care what the Republicans say. Any other questions? Not on this subject. I've said this is it. I understand.
Last night you suggested we need to see a fair process in the Senate.
Well, we'd like to see a fair process, but we'll see what they have, and we'll be ready for whatever it is.
Why are we need to see a fair process before?
We would hope there would be a fair process, just as we hope that they would honor the Constitution. By the way, I saw some of it, I didn't see it, but I heard some of what Mitch McConnell said today, and it reminded me that our founders, when they wrote the Constitution, they suspected that there could be a rogue president. I don't think they suspected that we could have a rogue president and a rogue leader in the Senate at the same time. Yes,
Speaker, to that end, you have talked and criticized Senator McConnell today.
Any other questions on anybody want to talk about Mexico free trade?
Now, I interviewed Representative Dan Crenshaw from Texas, Republican, and he has a theory about why Nancy Pelosi held up the 2 articles of impeachment. Representative Crenshaw, can you give me your analysis of why Nancy Pelosi has not turned over the articles of impeachment to the Senate?
Well, because it's all a joke. You know, I think that's the best analysis. Because she knew she didn't have a case, and now she's trying to make the argument that Mitch McConnell should help her make the case stronger. But of course that's really not how it works. We already voted on impeachment in the House, which means Nancy Pelosi and all of those Democrats who voted for it believe that the case is strong enough.
Right.
So it shouldn't need to be bolstered anymore, but that's what they want because they know they never had a case in the first place.
Now, can you have an impeachment trial in the Senate without the articles being sent over?
But here's where we are, Mr. President. Their turn is over. They've done enough damage. It's the Senate's turn now to render sober judgment as the framers envisioned. But we can't hold a trial without the articles. The Senate's old rules don't provide for that. So for now, we're content to continue the ordinary business of the Senate while House Democrats continue to flounder.
There's nothing in the Constitution about articles of impeachment. There's nothing about forwarding. As far as the American public is concerned, the president has been impeached. And that's why it was utterly unfair to suggest that we don't have to allow the Senate now to acquit him. So there are 2 alternatives. If he hasn't been impeached, Nancy Pelosi has to go to the media and say, please, all the media that have said he's impeached, please withdraw that, correct it. He's not impeached. He's presumed innocent. He's absolutely innocent. His status hasn't changed. And if he has been impeached, the Senate has to start their trial as soon as they choose to. Remember, the Senate is the sole judge of guilt or innocence of impeachment. And so the Democrats can't have it both ways. They can't say on the one hand, to the public, we're saying he's impeached, but for the Senate, we're saying he's not impeached. You know what I say? This is obstruction of the Senate. Exactly the same charge they've made against the president. This is an abuse of power. Exactly the same charge they've made against the president. It's wrong constitutionally, it's wrong morally, and it's wrong politically.
It's an impeachment with a footnote or with an asterisk. By the way, it never went over to the Senate, which I think means it's a bit of a phony impeachment.
Now, what about the merits of those 2 articles of impeachment? Abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, whatever that is. One California Democrat congresswoman says it is a simple, clear-cut case of bribery.
This is a very simple, straightforward act. The president broke the law. He went on a telephone call with the president of Ukraine and said, I have a favor, though, and then proceeded to ask for an investigation of his rival. And this is a very strong case of bribery because you have an elected official, the president, demanding action of a foreign country in this case, and providing something of value, which is the investigation, and he is withholding aid, which is that official act. And the Constitution is very clear: treason, bribery, or acts of omission. And in this case, it is clearly one of those.
And about bribery and the Ukraine phone call, here's what former U.S. Attorney Andy McCarthy said before the House voted on the articles of impeachment.
These are not straightforward, easy cases to prove. And I think the gulf that you have here is the harder it is for the Democrats to explain what the misconduct is, and the more they have seemed to grope around for a theory to hang criminal liability on, the harder it is to make the much bigger step to say this is not only wrong and not only potentially criminal, but actually impeachable. And I just don't think they can get there.
And law professor, Democrat, and Obama supporter Jonathan Turley said this after the House voted on the articles of impeachment.
The problem I have is that, judging on how they define these two articles, you could impeach every living president on this type of allegations. The most troubling for me is obstruction of Congress. They set an abbreviated period for investigation, arguably the shortest investigation of any presidential impeachment, depending on how you count the Johnson impeachment days. And then they said if you don't turn over the evidence during that period, you're obstructing Congress. Well, President Trump went to court to challenge the necessity of handing over that material. Both Bill Clinton and Richard Nixon were allowed to go all the way to the Supreme Court, where they ultimately lost. Nixon resigned soon afterwards. My concern is that this really does seem like you are making an appeal to the court into a high crime or misdemeanor.
So, where does this all leave us?
I continue to say, impeach him!
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
I'm Larry Elder, and this has been The Larry Elder Show. I'll see you next time.